Oh, wow, you startled me. It's the dumbest fucking intro. Hi, everyone. Greyecraft, we need some music. What's up, everybody? Greyecraft here. YouTuber. I have something to show you. This is offline. I'm recording this and putting this on YouTube, obviously, because, you know, you're watching this on YouTube. Chad is not here. We are not live on Twitch doing this segment because I'm not allowed to. Because there's a certain someone in this video that I'm reacting to. What is up with my eyebrow? What is, do you see this? My hair was just, it looked like a fucking azalea bush. I guess I should shave this off next too. There's someone in this video whom I'm not allowed to show on Twitch, and it's, well, not that guy. Not Alec is allowed on Twitch. He isn't. Well, look at what we have here. We have a new Jubilee video, funny enough. Fellow High Priest of the Greyecraft cult, Alec Gunter. Shout out to Alec Gunter. From what I've heard, he's kind of got a glizzy. Big old, you know.
I was chosen to read the following prompt. White Americans have way more advantages than Black Americans.
I think I'm a rarity here.
I don't think I've seen a Jubilee video in a while. This is a different format that they got going on here. I mean, it's cool as far as interaction with the community is concerned. You know, that's cool. You know, Patreon members get to be cameoed in there, but it's just weird. It's just weird. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Am I just weird for saying? Maybe I'm just weird. Maybe I should shut the fuck up. It's gonna be what like half the comments say on here.
Do white Americans have more advantages because they're white, or do just white Americans have advantages because of historic factors? I think that people want to argue.
What? He's liberal? Wow, that's news to me. I thought he was wherever the rape cage was.
Let's say that there is a woman, she's locked in a fucking cage, and it says not going to be freed until she's raped. You know that no matter what happens, somebody has to rape that woman in order for her to get freed. It doesn't matter if you do it or someone else does it.
I'm not going to dignify these hypotheticals.
I think that people want to argue at the end of the day over whether it's because you're white or not. I think that the answer is because you're white in the past, and that's how it kind of carries over to today. You know, even in times of the United States history where black people have tried to build wealth, you know, with the Tulsa riots and everything, where, yeah, that this wealth has been destroyed. And something that's upsetting to me is when conservatives talk about how we can't blame the past for what's happening in the present. That is true to some extent, but then the next breath they'll talk about how important it is to have dual parent households, how important it is to have a strong family, to have responsibility passed on from parent to child. And we've seen in the past that because of racial issues, that process has been severely disrupted.
The funny thing is that agreeing with all these things is when I did my research when I was younger, which arrived me to my standpoint of being a conservative, because I believed it was racist, Democrat, liberal ideologies and policies dating all the way back to the 1800s, all the way up to the 19th.
Here we are with the Democratic plantation thing. All right. So this is how this is how this is gonna go. Okay, all right.
Dating all the way back to the 1800s, all the way up to the 1960s, and then the purported big switch. But I think it was more so when Democrats decided to be a bit more cloak and dagger about their true opinions of black people and be more secretive and more, oh, we want to help you by, you know, doing these things and seeing them as a hero.
Okay, notice the language though right here. He's already kind of like going like conspiracy brained. He even said the words cloak and dagger, which like makes it seem like as if like Democrats being still shitty, way better than Republicans, way better than conservatives to be specific, but nonetheless still pretty shitty to black people. Excuse me. But nonetheless, like their policies have still like they were trying to put a band-aid on basically a grenade. And so like that's not gonna help anything. Obviously, that's not gonna be good Liberals are useless when it comes down to actual long-term solutions to systemic issues. But, like, it's not like this was planned from the get-go. It's not like this was like okay, my fellow Democrats, we're gonna still fuck over black people. It's like, well, I'm sure some of them might have been like that because, again, white landowning, whatever, you know. Sure, you know, they wanted to retain their power in the social hierarchy, but, like, then at that point, like, I gotta be honest, if you are aware that of the social hierarchy and white conservatives or liberals pretty much being at the top of that, especially if you're pro-capitalist, cisgender, heterosexual, Christian, male, then, like, they're going to be at the top, unfortunately, because that's just the way this country has always been. If you're aware of that, then, like, I gotta be honest, like, knowing the origins of conservative philosophy, why the fuck are you a conservative? Because, like, at the end of the day, like, conservatism came from basically simping for the monarchy. Like, that's, like, the aristocracy was like, okay, we need to retain our power all the way through, like, democracy, like, springing up everywhere, and revolutions happening, so we need to make sure to preserve our power as much as possible. Literal cloak and dagger, not so much what he's talking about. So, like, let's transfer all of our power to the markets. You got a big blow up mercantilism, which ends up becoming capitalism. And, you know, then there you fucking go. The original conservative philosophic writers were all like, democracy is gross, and we shouldn't let it happen. There should only be kings, and us men should still be at the top, because we love raping women. I don't know. It just kind of boggles me that, like, if you're kind of, like, aware of these things, even, like, a little bit, that you would arrive at a solution to these things through a conservative lens. It's just fucking weird to me.
As
Doing what
inferior.
things?
Affirmative action, welfare, all sorts of things that eventually ruin our culture and place us where we are now.
So
but I want to get back to the history of it, because we're talking about...
Well, I just want to make sure we're clear. Giving them money hurt them, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes, giving them, because if your father's out of the home, that's when we give you the money. If you're living in this housing,
so then give them the money while the dad's
rent-free,
well, then give them the money while the dad's in the home.
If you're working this amount of hours and getting less than this amount of dollars, you're getting money from the government. Yes, it is incentivizing. You're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I don't even know what that means in this scenario, because yes,
you're throwing.
Okay, you want to talk about throwing babies out with the bathwater? Margaret's saying.
Hold up. First of all, I went down to the comments, and people, we'll get to the comments in a second, but a lot of people were trashing Alec, and I really don't see the problem here. Like, he's literally just challenging Chandler here, and I just don't understand, like, what's the problem with a white liberal challenging a black conservative? What, like just because he's a black conservative, he ought to stay that way? That's kind of weird, you know? I don't understand why him being white and arguing for liberal solutions makes him, like, the white savior, white moderate type that MLK warned us about, quote unquote. That's in the comments, when he's just, like, challenging him on his beliefs. If anything, like, to be like, well, maybe he should shut up. Excuse you. Telling Alec, like, maybe he should just shut up and let the black conservative kid, like, speak about problems that directly affect him. You should shut up, whitey. Like, I think that's more racist. And I'm not even saying racist in, like, reverse racism. I'm not saying that's racist against white people like Alec here. That's racist against black people like Chandler. Because what that implies is, like, if Chandler, a black man, is a conservative, then he should stay that way. Which kind of, like, is... It almost has this air about, like, not so much that he can't handle it, but almost... Like, what's the problem with white liberals challenging black conservatives? Oh, he was... You know what? Let's just go ahead and go down there. Alec is the perfect example of people that are part of the problem. Thanks for having him on. By challenging him? I mean, we're only 2 minutes in, so, you know. The worst thing about Alec is there's no way you'd ever get him to understand that he's racist. How is he racist? He's not racist, he's just ignorant. How is he ignorant? Let me tell you why you're oppressed and why I know better. Definitely racist. How? No, listen. If a black guy doesn't understand 2 + 2 = 4, and I'm like, yo, 2 + 2 makes 4, does that make me fucking racist? I don't understand the issue here. That's, what? Bro, if you make it about race, you become the racist, and yes, he's bigoted extremely, and it was even pointed out twice. His inability to even let someone express their feeling as the person they're discussing shows he's bigoted. I think you're bigoted.
I'm gonna drop a hot take that people aren't gonna like.
Disallowing white liberals from challenging the beliefs of black conservatives definitely carries an attitude of like the same identity politics bullshit that ironically enough conservatives end up fucking complaining about. Oh, it's all about identity politics. It's all about identity politics. So just because you're black doesn't mean, just because I'm white doesn't mean, and yet you go to these fucking comments and it's like his inability to even let someone express their feeling. Dude, so far, we're only 2 minutes in, but so far he's just engaging with a black conservative, or rather a conservative who happens to be black, on their beliefs on white privilege. I don't know. We'll see how long ago. Alec is the exact type of person who should not be having political conversations with anyone terminally online. Dude, if you live in 2023 and you're under the age of 40, you're terminally online. The same thing I say about the word grifter. If you live under a capitalist system, you know that being authentic and true, expressing your true feelings on things, on different issues in society or in economics or what have you, with your boss, and they happen to be of a different persuasion than you, and they are on the high ground, so to speak, in the imbalanced power dynamic that is between the employer and the employee, you the employee, them the employer. I don't know about any other state, but I know here in Ohio, there's not so much of a I have to give you a reason why I'm firing you thing. So if I offend my boss, I could get fired, and they don't have to point that out. They don't have to explain it. And so, in order to make sure that you're able to pay your bills, pay your rent or your mortgage, pay your car insurance, car repairs, car gas, inside the house gas, electricity, food, in order to make sure that you keep on getting money in order to survive under a capitalist regime like the one we live under, you have to disingenuously present yourself in order to garner that benefit. Which, funny enough, is the definition of grifter. A person who engages in petty or small-scale swindling. Okay, what's the definition of swindling? Use of deception to deprive someone of money or possessions, obtain money fraudulently. If you really want to get technical, your fake relationship with your employer is a grift. We all have to grift at our day jobs in order to put food on the table and survive. And just like with that, being terminally online, literally, oh wow, according to Statista, in 2023, the current number of smartphone users in the world today is 6.92 billion. 85.88% of the world's population owns a smartphone. Everyone has the same amount of, at least, access to things like social media. Almost 3 billion people on the planet have a Facebook. 450 million people in the world are on Twitter. 2.35 billion active users. Instagram ranks 4th among the biggest social media networks globally as of last year. I really don't want to hear this bullshit about how someone's terminally online. Dude, if you have a smartphone and you are on social media and you are under the age of 40, you're probably also terminally online. Because this technology is fun to use. So much so, they're addicted to it. So I don't want to hear this shit. Dude, these comments are really fucking fierce on him, dude. The personification of the soft bigotry of low expectations, that is fucking insane. Like, I personally know Alec. I have hung out with him personally multiple times. And it's like, I'm sorry to tell y'all, but he's not a racist. Like, that's just insane to me. The definition of a keyboard warrior who just likes to talk for the sake of talking. Again, if you are under 40 and have access to a smartphone and social media, you also like talking. Because let's be honest with ourselves, why the fuck do you even have social media then? Jesus Christ, dude. People are so quick to criticize other people without like at all considering like they also do the same, if not similar fucking shit. It's just fucking wild to me, man. Like, I don't know, eat a slice of humble pie and maybe like watch me as I dip my penis into a big large pile of like cow shit, and then like I'll fuck your skull. It's just a suggestion. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater is an idiomatic expression for an avoidable error in which something good or of value is eliminated when trying to get rid of something unwanted. Ah, gotcha. That makes sense. Because babies can drown. You know, that's been known to happen. A lot of people consider babies to be a good thing. I personally think they're gross. And maybe the bathwater would be the bad. So in order to save the baby from drowning, you just toss the entire bathtub out the window? Yeah, that doesn't really work. So technically, when I see this, and I go back to this video, no, throwing the baby out with the bathwater thing actually kind of works.
You're throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
I don't even know what that means in this scenario because yes.
Maybe it's because you're dumb. Oh wait, sorry, that must make me racist or something to the people in the comments, which is insane to me because they only would say that about black conservatives. Oh my god. When it comes down to a black liberal or a black leftist, you know, no. But when it comes down to black conservatives specifically, you know, if I call them dumb, I guess that makes me racist. No. Maybe I'm just, you know, being dumb, it's without color. I'm colorblind to dumbness.
I don't even know what that means in this scenario because yes.
Okay,
you want to talk about throwing babies out with the bathwater? Margaret
for
Sanger wanted to exterminate the black race because she thought they were weeds. So yeah, we can literally talk about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That's what Margaret Sanger, that's what Democrat policies wanted to do to my people. So that's why I feel so.
But like that's back in the 1800s, right? Probably early 1800s, right? I'm only going to say this once. Republicans were not always conservative. Democrats were not always liberal. When acknowledging this, you realize that liberalism goes beyond a party called the Democrats. And conservatism is an ideology that goes beyond a party called Republicans. You can be a liberal Republican or a conservative Democrat. We can acknowledge this, right? Okay, so if we can acknowledge this, then we can also acknowledge that perhaps maybe it was Democrats. Maybe it was Democrats that mainly did all of the bad shit to black people. But were they liberal? Were they liberal? Or were they conservative? Democrats or not, were they liberal or were they conservative? Be honest with yourselves. Be honest with yourselves. Look in your fucking history. And look at the definitions of ideologies. Please, for the love of fuck. Not everything that... I'm not even gonna go on that tangent.
That's what Margaret Sanger, that's what Democrat policies wanted to do to my people. So that's why I feel so strongly about it, because it is these policies that date back.
Okay, so he's doing the emotionally charged thing. He's trying to come off really passionate about this thing and really try to have you feel his pain, you know, because then you might be more sympathetic to his side of the conversation. Rather than Alec right here, who's trying to be very civil, confrontational, challenging, sure, but nonetheless is very calm and civil. And the comments are saying some shit like, Alec is talking over that Chandler Who's doing more of the talking right here? What the fuck are you talking about? Chandler, to be quite frank, won't shut the fuck up with this emotionally charged language. Almost like he's trying to sound revolutionary with his conservatism. It's not revolutionary, it's manipulative. The way that Chandler is talking here is similar to the way the discourse has been going on in recent months about therapy speak or therapy talk, and how people can use therapy language to manipulate people and to abuse people further into accepting their abuse because it sounds nice and sounds sensible, but really is borderline sociopathic? Yeah, no, Chandler, I'm not fucking falling for your fucking shit, dude. You're being a fucking manipulative cunt.
Let's take a breath. So,
I'm breathing.
okay.
So a lot of babies aren't, but I am, sadly.
See, he's doing the emotional manipulation right there. A lot of babies aren't. So that was an abortion thing right there that he just did, okay? This has nothing to do with abortion. This has literally only to do with white Americans have way more advantages than black Americans. What does that have to do with abortion? This is obviously very geared towards an economic or socioeconomic route, cultural maybe, but like abortion hasn't been brought up once. Why is he bringing a lot of black babies? You're trying. That is a fucking pivot if I ever heard one.
Let's take a breath. So,
I'm breathing.
okay.
So a lot of babies aren't, but I am, sadly.
I don't know what that means. When I say Thriller baby,
I don't either. What the fuck does it even mean?
let's take a breath. So,
I'm breathing.
okay.
So a lot of babies aren't, but I am, sadly.
I don't know what that means. When I say throw the baby out with the bathwater, you want to completely get rid of welfare, okay? Or at least I don't want to put that on you, you haven't said that, but the conservative apparatus does, clearly. So,
Sensible so
giving
far.
money to a group of people does not hurt them.
I mean,
It
sure, if
can't.
you're talking about a lottery,
It
you just,
literally
hey, take
can't.
money. But
Yes.
there are strings
Take money.
attached to that money.
Take all the
there
money.
are strings attached
Give
to
them
that
millions. Make them all millionaires. I don't care. Giving money to black people does not hurt them.
money. And that has
thinking
not
that-
happened, though. That has not happened.
What do you mean?
That has not happened.
No.
It hasn't been a
You're
reparations.
saying
It hasn't been this
so
or that.
what I-
It is
you're-
So there can be. Who on the conservative side is championing for reparations, bro? Why the fuck are you a conservative then? If that is a solution that your mind jumps to that quickly, that is obviously a thing that you at least have some kind of support for, because you've thought about it enough for that to be an automatic fucking connection in your neural network, okay? That is a connection you have made in your mind. That reparations will help the black community. If that is a thing you already think, who the fuck on the conservative side supports that? Why are you a conservative? It doesn't make sense. I honestly, Chandler is already giving me a vibe of like anti-liberal tankies or anti-liberal leftists who are like so concerned with like not being a liberal that they won't vote for Joe Biden. Donald Trump is right there. Ron DeSantis is right there. Fucking Chris Christie's right there. Mike Pence is right there. Vivek Ramaswamy is right there. You got all these crazy fucking fascists who are ready to... Project 2025? Fucking look it up. Humanist Report just came out with a video on that. They're all gunning for literal neo-Nazi, fascist, theocratic authoritarianism if they win. But hey man, I'm not a liberal, so I'm not gonna vote for Joe Biden to try and like, you know, put that in the future rather than the now, right? I mean, I don't want it to be in either time frame, but if I had to choose between the future and the now, I'd rather it be the future rather than the now, you know. I'd rather try to buy us some time. Chandler just comes off as one of those black guys who like, you know, doesn't want to be like a liberal black guy. He wants to be different. He wants to be special. And so far, Chandler's politics here, Chandler's thought process is not making any fucking sense.
And that has
thinking
not
that.
happened, though. That has not happened.
What do you mean?
That has not happened. It hasn't been a
You're
reparations.
saying
It hasn't been this
so
or that.
what
It has
you're
been
saying,
a welfare program,
welfare
Great
was
Societies
designed.
Act that was
Welfare
built
was-
off of the idea of, hey, we get these families split up, we get these
So
people
then let
living
them
here.
keep the family together and keep all the money.
I mean,
There you go.
I guess
Boom,
so,
done.
but I guarantee you,
I guess
there's
so.
no way that
Why would you
happen.
not advocate for that?
So in your, I guess, research.
Yeah, I would be pissed about that too, because like his Chandler's ideology makes no goddamn sense.
Do you find like the Reconstruction era and like the failures of like what it wanted to be and then what it ended up being and then which led into, had downstream effects to enter into the Jim Crow era. And, you have policies like redlining that influence, how schools are funded. The downstream effects of slavery, do you think, put black people as generally in a worse off position than white Americans?
I think generation by generation, the effects of slavery have been diluted, but generation by generation, the effects of racism, welfare-based policies, and things of that nature became even more great. So in the 1880s or so, when we had our first black members of Congress, which were indeed Republicans, I think that was a great start for things. But obviously, we had terrible things that happened, like the Tulsa massacre, among black people being chased out of their homes by the KKK.
Sure.
Who did the KKK support? In the 2020 election, it was Joe Biden. 2016 election. And all throughout the previous administration, Donald Trump. I don't want to hear this shit about the KKK and trying to link them directly with liberalism or the Democratic Party. What, dude?
I'm gonna drop a hot take that people aren't gonna like.
Or you might like it, because the truth of the matter is that the Ku Klux Klan is just a fucking group of opportunists. They don't give a fuck about the politics that will lead to the result. They just want the result, no matter what. They really are an ends justify the means type of organization. They want to lynch black people. They really want to bring back slavery. They really do want black people to be under the boot of a white supremacist ethno-state. However they can get there is however they can get there. But if they win, they win. In some ways, funny enough, kind of like what Vosh will say. He's like, my ideology is to win, basically. I want socialism to win. I don't care what it takes to get there. I just know that socialism is the key, and we need to win. That's it. That's it. I don't care what it takes. I want socialism to win. There you go. A little bit of ammo for the people to compare me to Vosh or whatever the fuck, which isn't a fucking insult, by the way.
Can you attribute not to the party but to the ideology? Because I think when you think,
thank you,
regardless of whatever the party switch was, traditionally conservative values did not that's more aligned with more racist policies in this country.
It's very difficult to compare 2020's conservatism to 1880s conservatism.
Oh boy, here we go.
I was loving the 1v4.
So personally, I feel like there's really only one thing that white people have a true advantage over black people with, and it's that white people are less likely to be forced into a box. It happens with black people onto other black people, but it especially happens with white liberals onto black conservatives, where we are told that we are supposed to think a certain way, be a certain way, and if we're not, then we're called all these names like etc. And the
okay. All right. I can't believe I'm going to say it.
I'm going to drop a hot take that people aren't going to like.
If black conservatives are so concerned with not being seen as a monolith, then maybe their thought patterns shouldn't be fucking monolithic. I swear to fucking Christ, dude. Black conservatives all think the fucking same way. I hear all the same fucking talking points over and over and over and over and over again. It's just a fucking recycled, regurgitated machine of old monarchy, dick-sucking fucking conservative. The aristocrats should be divinely fucking appointed above the rest of the peasantry type of fucking ideological bounds. That's all of this is bullshit. It's all bullshit. And whether they actually believe their shit or not, the fact is that they all say the same fucking shit. Because conservatives all say the same fucking shit. All of them. If you don't want to be viewed as a monolith, and you gotta vote a certain way, your politics has to be a certain way, and I don't like black people being viewed like you have to be this way or else you be chastised or whatever. Dude, you literally act like a monolith before people get fucking mad at me. The definition of monolith is, well, the structure, but also a large and impersonal political, corporate, or social structure regarded as intractably indivisible and uniform. That's what I mean when I say monolith or monolithic. All of your arguments and your ideological framework are uniform as fuck. So quite literally, like again, I've heard this shit so many fucking times. I'm not wrong. Sorry. Suck my dick from the back.
where we are told that we are supposed to think a certain way, be a certain way, and if we're not, then we're called all these names like etc. And the worst of all is bootlicker.
Don't lick boots. I'm sorry. Just don't lick boots. Maybe don't be a fan of like authoritarian mindsets,
etc. And the worst of all is bootlicker, because I hate when a white liberal tells me as a black man that I'm a bootlicker, because then I ask, whose boot am I licking? Because you're telling me as a white person that me as a black person that I'm licking your boot because I don't think in this box that you want me to frame my mentality in. That to me is real racism, and that's what we need to stop.
No, that's yo. I'm gonna pull this fucking soundbite a lot.
I'm gonna drop a hot take that people aren't gonna like.
You're a pussy. You don't actually think this. I don't believe it. I legitimately don't believe black conservatives believe that white liberals are racist for arguing against their conservative values as black people. I don't believe that they believe that. I believe that they use that to deflect. I think it's one of those, I don't like this conflict. It makes me uncomfortable. You're not massaging my ego. You're instead confronting it. And that doesn't make me feel well. And so I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that my cognitive dissonance is retained. So I'm going to call you a racist, and hopefully that'll end the fucking conversation. Unfortunately, this gets a lot of vulnerable white people to shut up really fucking quick, because white people don't want to be viewed as racist. Or at least the ones that aren't racist. I don't think you want your conservatism to be challenged, and so you being black and conservative, you can use the former to protect the latter. You can use the identity politics, funny enough, to be able to withstand the liberal criticisms from a liberal who might be white by saying, no, you're just racist. It's the same fucking thing as like, if you say trans rights are human rights, then you're pro pedophilia. Well, no one wants to be called a fucking pedophile, and so like that just poisons the discourse right then and there. Pedojacketing is immediately, like, I would even argue, criminal extent of like defamation and slander, all for the sake of ending the conversation because you want your biases and your preferences to stick. You don't want them to change. You want your ideology to stay stagnant. You don't want to evolve. You don't want to be open to new ideas. You don't want to be open to new solutions that might benefit everybody. You want your worldview and your perception of life and your role in the universe to be protected at all costs. White liberal challenging my black conservatism, you're racist, conversation over, haha, I win. When actually you're just a fucking coward.
It's because we're told for so long that you have to follow this path and you have to think a certain way.
I think America is a great place for a black person. I think I'm an American. Anything that's available to you is available to me and mine.
First of all, oh boy, I'm gonna get a lot of pushback for this.
I'm gonna drop a hot take that people aren't gonna like.
You look like a tan white woman. You kind of come off as like so light-skinned that you get a little bit of privilege from it. Sorry, you know, does that make me racist? Oh, come the fuck on, dude. I bet you if I talk to some of my dark-skinned friends, they'll be like, yeah. I mean, for real, like if you were maybe 2 or 3 shades darker and you got pulled over, yeah. Also, like, you can't just say this when, like, every time I get pulled over by a cop, I hate it, but skin color never comes to mind. I never think to myself, like, am I gonna get shot today? Doesn't occur to me. Probably because I'm not black. I have friends, unfortunately. I have friends who have children who have had to, talk to their children who are black and be like, this is what happens and what you need to do if you get pulled over by especially a white police officer, but police officers in general, really. That's a talk that I've never had. It's a talk that I never will have because I don't need to have it. But you think that this country is great for black people. That's interesting. And that you have equal access to whatever you said. Okay, that's wild.
I'm an American. Anything that's available to you is available to me and mine.
I also think you're just so fucking smug about that and just so, like, matter of fact about it without, like, any sort of, like, it just reeks of fucking privilege. Am I wrong for thinking that? It just reeks of fucking privilege, bro.
I've personally never experienced white people having way more privileges than me. Like, I'm sure you could find certain institutions where black people are treated differently, but in general, I don't think that I've missed out on anything because of being black. And if anything, it's given me more of a voice because people will want to hear what I say now because I'm black. So if anything, I have more of a platform now just on the basis of being a black conservative and saying what's not popular than I would if I was just a white person who was also.
I can't believe I'm, oh my God. Yeah, no, sorry, I think you fall about right here. Both of the black conservative women on here, I'm sorry, you're white passing so much that, like, I'm like, what? Like, if I met this woman in real life, first of all, I wouldn't ask her, what's your race? Like, that wouldn't be that'd be fucking weird. But I wouldn't assume. I would legit think, like, she's white. Same thing with her. Like, girl, your fucking hair's blonde. You just look like a Florida mom who goes to tanning salons. Like, I would never think that these women are black. They might have some, like, other ethnic backgrounds in their bloodline. I would think that, but, like, I would just think, like, they're white. So I just, like, I don't like, for like unironically, not the not okay and okay part, but, like, unironically, like, as far as, like, the point of the joke here, like, dude, I'm sorry, you have more privilege than your darker counterparts. It is what it is. I didn't make the rules. My ancestors might have. I didn't make the rules.
I'm sure you could find certain institutions where black people are treated differently, but in general, I don't think that I've missed out on anything because of being black. And if anything, it's given me more of a voice because,
like, honestly, like, if I were him with my personality and everything, like, I would be looking at this Aaliyah chick and be like, bitch, shut the fuck up. Like, if you got pulled over, they'd be like, hello ma'am, is everything okay? Her skin. Like, oh my God, like, shut the fuck up. Like, God, dude. I mean, I hate to say it, but, like, light skin privilege is real, bro.
I agree with the Supreme Court's decision to end affirmative action.
Wow.
I think.
Wait. I agree with the Supreme Court's decision to end affirmative action. I agree. They all, oh my God!
I think. I'm not gonna start. Someone else can start. Sorry.
I think affirmative action has served its purpose. I think that it was necessary for a particular time, and I think that every black person knows how to get into college. Every black, I mean, you can pull out the names, the Oprah, President Obama. You can pull out the head of Time Warner was black man, the Forbes was black man. We know what to do now. We don't need affirmative action anymore. And to me, affirmative action is offensive sometimes, especially nowadays, because I have 6 children, and 2 boys, 4 girls. And all of them went to Harvard and Columbia and this one and that one. And it breaks my heart to think that they accomplished that goal of getting into these institutions just because of the color of their skin.
I can definitely say that it creates a lot of tension when you have affirmative action. I remember my first week at the University of Illinois, I was sitting with some classmates and a white student turned to me and jokingly like, hey Xavier, like, did you just attach a smiley face when you applied for this college? And I started asking what he meant, and he said to me that he was like, you're black, I'm assuming you had decent grades, you could have just attached a smiley face and you would have gotten into the university. So I was livid by
Okay, yeah, but no, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. Don't like that's just racist. That's not okay. I agree with the first time I agree with her. You see her way her head swiveled like that, yo.
Did you just attach a smiley face when you applied for this college? And I started asking.
Like literally though, like that would be the same reaction. I'd be like.
So I was livid by that, and I went off. I started naming all of my accomplishments, and I felt so confident only for about an hour.
I had a friend who was Asian and in high school, and he really wanted to go to MIT. That was his dream school. He interned there. He was super like prepared to go there, and he didn't get in. And you can only assume that it was because of affirmative action, because they have such a large Asian population that they want to admit other people.
It's more racist nowadays because it excludes so many Asian Americans from getting into universities who do deserve a spot.
I don't think affirmative action is the worst thing, considering all the different types or aspects of a background you might take into account when somebody's getting into college, whether they were in certain clubs, you know, Boy Scouts, what type of classes they took, that might not be available to everybody. I don't think that factoring in the affirmative action is necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like because of everything you guys have said, the optics behind it are so horrible today that even if it is slightly beneficial in the long run for certain people, I think we can probably refocus most of that into figuring out like the class that people come from, the neighborhoods, the backgrounds or whatever, without it having to necessarily target race. The only thing that I kind of wonder now that it's gone is instead of a black person being in school thinking like, man, am I here because I'm an affirmative action pick, is it going to be a kid that is poor or a kid that's from a different zip code?
I think we should do away with all of it. Just like submit an application, no demographics. Why do they ask your sexuality? Like, why do they ask all that stuff?
To a certain extent, I agree with that. I'm a racial and gender abolitionist. Like if I were to apply for a job, like I shouldn't have to put down like what my race is or what my gender is. The real question is, am I qualified for the job? That's the most important thing. And same thing goes with college applications. So to an extent, I do agree with that, and to a certain extent, I'm gonna I can't believe I'm gonna
I'm gonna drop a hot take that people aren't gonna like.
I kind of agree with Destiny. I can't believe I'm gonna say it. I fucking hate him, but he's I don't fuck. Wow, I did not expect this. So it is fair. It is fair to say that first of all, maybe it should be more class-based. But at the same time, like, it doesn't matter how you fucking finagle it, you know, there's gonna be some amount of insecurity going into the university. Did I get in here because I was black? Did I get in here because I'm Asian? Did I get in here because I'm poor? Did I get in here because I'm trans? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you focused an affirmative action like legislation or political decision in any way, there's going to be that insecurity of like, you know, or people could basically, and I honestly, it could be a pride thing, but I honestly think it's probably more so a social thing. I think it's probably more so like, am I going to get made fun of for this, or are people going to put me down because of this? You know, people are going to, oh, you just like fucking Xavier was saying, you could have just put a smiley face on your application. Again, so fucked up. But if he wasn't black, what if he was a white poor kid and affirmative action was on class basis? Would you put a smiley face on your application? It would be the same fucking thing. It would be the same fucking thing. Either way, let's hear what Alec has to say.
If affirmative action accomplished its purpose, why do we still see the disparities that we do in the professional workplace? If you average white wealth and compare it to black wealth totals, white people as a whole have about 50 times greater wealth than black people as a whole.
Okay, hang on. In the United States, the average black and Hispanic or Latino households earn about half as much as the average white household and own only about 15 to 20% as much net wealth. This is true. Fucking Google it. There are statistics to back this up. There's plenty of data, and there's probably a reason for that, and it's racism. Sorry that your personal individual pride has to take a little bit of a hit. But black people do need a leg up. Sorry, whatever. Get the fuck over yourselves. Swallow your pride. My personality and who I am as a person stayed the same, you know? I just happen to be black. I would probably be like, yes, I'm taking advantage of affirmative action. What am I, stupid? I can get into college and further myself? Done deal. Done deal. Sign my name on the dotted line. Whatever. Yes. And funny enough, whose ideological framework is perpetuating this. It's not liberalism. Well, maybe a little bit, but...
White people as a whole have about 50 times greater wealth than black people as a whole per capita. So I just don't understand why you think affirmative action has accomplished its purpose. I don't see
Curious,
that.
why do you assume that just because there is a disparity means it's because of a racial issue?
What else would it be from?
I mean,
upbringing, economic abilities,
Desire to
skills.
go, desire to...
So
zip
it
code
was their
does
fault
play
then.
a lot. If you grow up in a neighborhood that experiences a lot of trauma, you're not as likely to do as well in school, which means you're...
Why did they grow up in a neighborhood that experiences a lot of trauma?
I mean, lots of people do.
Yes,
live in
but
a-
why specifically do more black people?
Government assistance programs.
Government assistance programs, like...
Did this motherfucker really just say government assistance programs caused trauma? That has got to be the dumbest fucking shit I've heard in a long fucking time. Ah, yes, me giving you a random $11,380. Just making up numbers, honestly. Yeah, me just giving you money to help you buy food and stuff that you need to live and survive. I'm sorry I'm doing this to you. This hurts me more so than you. That is insane. That is insane. I don't even know what to say to that. Like, that's just stupid as fuck.
Government assistance programs.
Government assistance programs, like what?
Try redlining.
I mean, you can go into that if you'd like to, but let's take
It
a
is
look
relevant.
at the Great Societies Act, which was created to kick black fathers out of the home and get black mothers on welfare assistance. These things aren't beneficial for
The what?
The Great Societies Act, which was...
Great Societies Act. What the fuck is this? Great Society program became Johnson's agenda for Congress in January '65. Aid education, attack on disease, Medicare, urban renewal, beautification, conservation, development of depressed regions, a wide-scale fight against poverty, control and prevention of crime and delinquency, removal of obstacles to the right to vote. Congress at times augmenting or amending, rapidly enacting Johnson's recommendations. Millions of elderly people found succor? I was going to say succor. Through the 1965 Medicare Amendment to the Social Security Act. Okay, so none of that sounds bad. So wait, hold up. It says up here, to build a great society, a place where the meaning of man's life matches the marvels of man's labor. I don't... How would have this caused black fathers to leave the home or incentivize that in any way? I don't... What the fuck? Okay.
I'm gonna drop a hot take that people aren't gonna like.
Chandler is a dumb fuck. Holy shit. I have no idea what he's wrong.
The Great Societies Act, which was created to kick black fathers out of the home and get black mothers on welfare assistance. These things aren't beneficial for economics. These things aren't beneficial for actually paving a way for success for black children and black families. I mean, reducing a two-family household to a one-family household isn't going to make them the richest man in the world. It isn't even going to get them out of high school. Nonetheless,
holy shit! Wait! I just noticed. Is he an anti? Oh my god! I'm a vax rebel. He's an anti-vaxxer. He's literally an anti-vaxxer. That's... Wow. It makes a lot of sense now. He probably thinks that COVID vaccines cause super Down syndrome, autism, AIDS, cancer.
I mean, reducing a two-family household to a one-family household isn't going to make them the richest man in the world. It isn't even going to get them out of high school. Nonetheless, the ability to even get to college.
You mean two-parent?
The child, yes, but a two-parent household in comparison to a one-parent household, that child is not going to be nearly as successful. That child is more disposed to being sent into prison by doing crimes or not doing very well in school. So how are they even supposed to get that, that wealth disparity shrunk if they aren't even able to get out of the community that is causing these problems for them.
Something I think that this conversation illustrates is that like affirmative action is literally the very end of the line of a lot of different parts of a person's life. And by that point, trying to rectify all of the inequities that have existed, to try to remedy any of that at the very end with affirmative action, it might just be too broad a brush. And maybe we'd be better served focusing on the earlier issues than trying to throw a kid who maybe, you know, can barely read at a 6th grade level into a college to hope that that's the thing that fixes the problem at the end of the line.
I think affirmative action wasn't really supposed to like send kids to Harvard that weren't prepared to go to Harvard. I think that's quite a myth, in fact. I think those that have the qualities to get to Harvard were, before affirmative action, could just completely overlooked. You know, Clarence Thomas is like the perfect example. You know, regardless of what you think about him, he was able to get to Harvard because of affirmative action, because, you know, it focused on finding people that were, you know, again, like just overlooked for those.
But things ended up changing. It morphed into something else. So what started out as a good program of giving all black people or people with a lesser chance or lesser opportunity, it started out as that, and then it morphed and I'm not sure who morphed it, but it morphed into, okay, so now we have to have one black, one Hispanic, one this, one that.
That's not how that works.
But hey, talk to the corporations, talk to the people who hire, talk to the board members who say we need to have a woman on a board, we need to have a black.
But that's not, oh my God. It's not because okay, again.
I'm gonna drop a hot take that people aren't gonna like.
That's not because they care about diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's not that. It's to save face so as to attract more customers to buy their product or invest in their brand, to get their services, whatever the fuck, to appeal to the average American, to garner the most amount of money possible. If you don't seem racist, if you don't seem misogynist, if you don't seem transphobic, if you don't seem homophobic, if you don't seem Islamophobic, if you seem to be inclusive of all these kinds of different people, if you seem to be your own concentrated melting pot, so to speak, people on average are going to look at that and say, I like that. Seem to be run by good people. Let me buy their shit. It's not about like talk to the corporations. Okay, will do. They don't give a shit. It's all about their fucking dollar, man.
That's not how that works.
But hey, talk to the corporations, talk to the people who hire, talk to the board members who say we need to have a woman on the board, we need to have a black on the board, we need to have a Latina, a Latinx, whatever on the board. So it morphed from helping us into now
tokenization.
Yes. So you have to have,
which is a problem. I'm not gonna deny that. But like, that's not an affirmative action thing. That's just, again, them using marginalized faces in order to appeal to the broadest amount of potential customers that they can, in order to garner as much money as possible, in order to profit as much as they can, because they have such a large amount of potential customers who are willing to give them money. It's not about affirmative action. Now we're talking about corporations. It has nothing to do with affirmative action.
Well, when you start with a country where people only hire you if you're white, that's necessary. And I know that you said that it started good and then ended whatever. And I don't think that affirmative action was perfect by any measure, but we still see really, really bad inequality. So if you're going to get rid of affirmative action, what's the replacement?
Meritocracy.
Is people need to.
Which doesn't exist.
Meritocracy.
There's no meritocracy in this country. You look at Elon Musk, he's destroying Twitter. There's no
That's why he's a high priest. That's why he belongs in the Greyecraft cult. That's my boy. It's true though. Meritocracy is a fucking myth. That's never been the case. If meritocracy is real, let's look up the definition. Define meritocracy. A ruling or influential class of educated or skilled people. Meritocracy is the notion of a political system in which economic goods or political power are vested in individual people based on ability and talent, rather than wealth or social class. Advancement in such a system is based on performance as measured through examination or demonstrated achievement. Okay. If that were the case, and you really think that we live in a meritocracy, Are you really willing to sit there and say that Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk works more than their janitors, works more than their engineers, works more than their warehouse workers? Sorry, no. Jeff Bezos' yacht is $500 million. In a 1999 interview, which was fucking 24 years ago, Jeff Bezos stated that he usually works around 60 hours a week and sometimes even more. Okay, fine. Maybe back in 1999, he was more of a proletariat. 24 years later? No. I'm sorry, man. Like, with the amount of vacations that motherfucker probably took on his fucking yacht, his $500 million yacht, he did not work more than a fucking janitor or a fucking trash collector or an engineer or a warehouse worker. Elon Musk got a $300,000 loan from his rich as fuck emerald mine owning father. African emerald mine owning father, by the way. He wasn't self-made. He got an investor right off the bat. He also is a fucking con man. Go ahead and just look into some Elon Musk documentaries. They're out there. They're easy to find. He's a swindler. A grifter, if you will.
There's no meritocracy in this country. You look at Elon Musk, he's destroying Twitter. There's no meritocracy. That's ridiculous.
Well, first thing I want to bounce back to is it's not a myth that there are like minorities that are being put into colleges that they're not ready for. If you look at a lot of these top universities, including Harvard, Yale, etc., you're going to see a lot of minorities on academic probation because they are being placed in universities that they are not ready for. They are not cut out for that just yet. And it even just makes sense if you look at how much they have to achieve in order to get there. Asian students on average have to score 450 points higher than a black student in order to get in the same university. So if you...
Which is racist. That's further evidence of a white supremacist system.
You can only have so many people with an A, so many people with a B, etc. So that means that the bottom percentile is going to fail. Who is most likely, just based on logic, going to be the ones failing? It's going to be the people who didn't have the credentials to get there in the first place. And then I have to bounce back to...
I want to get you on that point, because I would posit that the people who are least likely to have good outcomes in an academic setting are those who have to work 2 jobs, are those who have to drive there from home because they can't afford a dorm, are those who have to go into crippling financial debt. These are and have other stresses in their life. They can't afford a doctor, they can't afford a dentist, they can't afford anything.
I had to do
so
that too, though.
Those are the
That's
people.
not just black people. It's not just.
But it's
if we're looking at
overwhelmingly
straight numbers. There are more white people in poverty than black people.
If you look at the raw numbers, but if you
I don't know,
actually
what
understand
are
what
the
you're
wrong
talking
numbers?
about.
Yeah. No
The issue is poverty in general, though. I don't.
You have supercomputers in your fucking pockets instead of fucking bickering over it and trying to through like an emotionally charged chastising. What are the raw numbers? Why don't you look up the raw numbers and challenge your own preferential biases for a fucking second? Because the data suggests, sorry,
I'm gonna drop a hot take that people aren't gonna like.
Alec is correct. It is what it is. Fucking suck me off from the back.
Poverty, it's like poverty sucks.
Maybe we should make college free, and maybe we want to have affirmative action wouldn't be that.
Thank you, Jacob. We wouldn't even be bickering over this shit if we just made college free. This wouldn't even be something we'd fucking talk about, bro. Notice, by the way, who is more likely to be in favor of free college? Notice, by the way, who is literally right now trying to cancel student loan debt? Biden! And who would not be willing to support making college free? And who would not be in favor, who isn't currently in support of canceling all student loan debt? I gotta say, it's not Trump. It's not DeSantis or Ramaswamy or Pence or Christie or Nikki Haley or whoever the other 2 fucking old guys were on the fucking debate stage of the Republican primary. None of them. Because conservatism is inherently anti-poor and inherently pro whoever's currently in power must stay in power and keep on getting more power exponentially because we are bottoms. Conservatism is a bottom ideology.
Maybe we should make college free, and maybe we want to have
If you have a
affirmative action
program-
wouldn't be that necessary.
And it'll get even more ghetto.
If you have a program that says if you are under a certain income level, this is how we'll help you, that will overwhelmingly help black people at a far greater percentage than it will help white people.
Trump supports Black lives.
Delusional. Nope. Delusional. Delusional. Nope. Nope. Oh my fucking God. Whose administration, in the face of Black Lives Matter, protesting for the right to, I don't know, not get immediately killed by fucking cops the moment that they're stopped at a traffic stop, or get a knee in the neck for almost 9 fucking minutes? Whose administration was it who said they were going to enact the Insurrection Act of 1807? An act that originated to quell slave rebellions and catch runaway slaves. Well, given the fact that the BLM protests were during the year of 2020 and Dark Brandon did not get inaugurated until 2021 January, who was that? Yeah, okay, yeah, sure. Trump supports Black lives. Yeah, sure, that's... wow.
Oh my God, that means whatever you say after this is wrong.
I think that President Trump supports all lives. I think that he looks at all American citizens as equal. I don't see him doing
Alec,
anything.
wait. What the fuck?
I think that President Trump supports all lives. I think that he looks at all American citizens as equal. I don't see him doing anything that would make you feel like he does not support Black lives. That's of course going to lead into the conversation of Black Lives Matter, which was a movement and an organization with so much corruption. Donald Trump not supporting that organization doesn't mean that he doesn't support Black lives. It just means that he doesn't support the fraudulent organization that's stealing so much money from so many people to do absolutely nothing with it, nor does he support a destructive movement that is destroying cities, communities, lives, etc. So I don't see why someone would think that.
10,000 BLM protests throughout the entirety of the year of 2020. Less than 3%, you can look up the data on this, less than 3% of those protests turned into lootings or riots. And a pretty big number of those were found to have been secretly instigated by undercover cops, or cops who were setting up. There were videos all over the place, all over social media when it was happening, of cops unloading the backs of pickup trucks filled with bricks, or laying down wooden pallets and piling some bricks when there wasn't any construction site anywhere the fuck around. They were just randomly sitting there to hope that somebody picks up one and throws it and starts inciting a riot. It was instigated at least half of the time. I don't have the exact numbers, I will admit that, but it was nonetheless a significant and horrifying portion of those riots that were instigated by police.
Cities, communities, lives, etc. So I don't see why someone would think that President Trump doesn't support Black lives.
I've heard him say he knows all the best black people. He has all the best black friends. I do support black people all the time. So sorry, that was a very bad impression, but I don't think Donald Trump wants bad things to happen to black people. So in that respect, I think he does support Black lives. But the other side of that is he's not really doing anything. He didn't do anything as president, certainly, to uplift black people.
The economy affects black people.
Yeah, I certainly disagree with that point. One of the biggest things I
What does he do for the
supported
economy?
personally. Well, yeah, we'll get into that one later. One of the biggest things he did is
Remember that sure, unemployment was really low, but underemployment was really high. Holy shit, a gargantuan amount of people during the Trump administration were working more than one job just to make ends meet. That's sure, that might make unemployment look good, but it doesn't look good for reality.
One of the biggest things he did is he secured permanent funding for HBCUs, one of the largest increases we ever saw for HBCUs, personally done by his administration, among many other things. The First Step Act, which, you know, there's a lot of debate about whether it was really the best thing to do, but that was definitely a kiss of love to the black race. Freeing Alice Johnson for menial drug crimes she committed in the past that had her locked up. She did not get to see her family for years.
Yeah, but that's not like, okay, I did say I agree, but I agree in the sense that Donald Trump doesn't literally want bad things to happen to black people, like I think a lot of conservatives do. So I think that he just says the most yeah, I do think that. I think he says the things that will get him elected. So I don't think that he has any personal grudges against certain, you know, most people. He just says the most popular thing. So I think like Ron DeSantis would be, yeah, Ron DeSantis would be somebody that I think actually wants black people to be hurt. So by that standard, yeah, Donald Trump supports Black lives by leaps and bounds.
You think Donald Trump says the most popular thing?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Then why do so many people hate him?
He got elected as president.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He didn't win the popular vote. Neither time.
That's a liberal talking point. That's a liberal talking
point. I'm helping you here. I'm trying to see the logic in this. Obviously, he says things to be elected as a politician very similarly to how Joe Biden did, except
because we live in a white supremacist country and because there's a lot of racist whites. And Donald Trump knew that, so he took advantage of it. And so mimically and comedically, to where he became president. I mean, we were under threat of a second fucking Trump term. I mean, don't get me wrong, sure, Biden won by 17 million votes, but like still. Biden won 81,283,098 votes. Trump, 74,222,958. Okay, so that is a lot of fucking people who voted for Trump, who clearly, and see, let's just say a portion of this voting base were people like Chandler and Xavier. Let's just say like maybe a third. I would say realistically a third of these votes are people like Chandler and Xavier. Doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be black, but that they ignorantly believe in the delusion that Trump is pro-black lives, or that Trump isn't racist, or that Trump isn't misogynist, or Trump isn't Orange Mussolini. There's still, like, dude, you cannot realistically look at this admittedly huge number and try to act like as if there isn't a huge chunk of just plain old white supremacist conservatives who want to maintain the top of the social hierarchy, which is unfortunately white. But even further than that, it's white, cisgender, heteronormative / heterosexual, conservative, pro-capitalist, Christian, that's a big one, men who they want to maintain the top of the social hierarchy. It's not a fucking coincidence that, like I said earlier, fucking David Duke and the Ku Klux Klan, you know, sure, oh, they said they support Biden, but they totally did support Trump. And on top of that, you got DeSantis voters, DeSantis being the pronounced runner-up behind Trump of the Republican primaries, who literally had a neo-Nazi fucking black sun insignia symbol, like acting as his fucking halo in a memified campaign ad, and his staffers were saying that the video deserves to be in a museum, and that we literally see pictures and videos all the time of literal swastika Nazi flag holding white supremacists next to other people in the same group showing support for DeSantis with a flag of the same Nazi flag, but with DeSantis' head replacing the swastika. I don't want to fucking hear it. This is bullshit. You know you're full of shit. You're fucking lying. Either that or you're fucking delusional. People would really rather be a conservative than to get fucking therapy. I swear to wow.
That's a liberal talking
I'm
point.
helping you here. I'm trying to see the logic in this. Obviously, he says things to be elected as a politician very similarly to how Joe Biden did, except Joe Biden actually has a history of racism.
If he said
they all do. They all do. They all do. They all do. But you know who doesn't? Bernie Sanders.
If he said things that people didn't like, he wouldn't have been our president.
So you like everything that Donald Trump says? You think everything he says is popular?
I love a lot of the things he says. I think he's hilarious. When he said big water, that was one of my favorite quotes. Big water.
Water, big water, ocean water.
Big water. That was one of my favorite quotes. Big water.
Water, big water, ocean water.
He has the funniest one-liners, so I love a lot of the things he says. As far as policy, he sucks, but...
I'm just shocked you're wearing a Hunter Biden hat. He likes a different kind of one line.
Oh, I know, conservatives love talking about his...
No, Coke. It's different. Coke, not
God damn. Yo, Alec really did come in guns blazing, didn't he? Jesus Christ. Oh God, thank you for wearing the hat. It's so good.
They facilitate that kind of like hate, I think, for a lot of people, not just black people, but like...
I mean, this man took out like a full page in a newspaper calling for the public execution of 5 black kids. His hotels, all of his businesses have rampant history of denying black people apartments or whatever, so...
I forgot about that. I should not have stepped forward.
Look, I mean, Donald Trump cares about Donald Trump, so I don't think he really cares about anyone, I guess, unless you're like super rich or whatever.
When you look at his history on racial issues, whether it's the shithole countries comment, the plethora of comments he made about Mexican people, just the comments he made about Muslims, the idea that Trump cares at all about some particular racial minority, I think is a little bit silly. I think Trump will say whatever he needs to say to rile up his base and to get elected.
I don't necessarily
Wow, kind of like what I said earlier about the fucking KKK.
I don't necessarily think those statements come from a place of hatred. I don't think he was ever saying specifically, oh, if you pray 5 times a day towards the east or towards Mega based on wherever you are, you're a bad person. I think he was saying if you like to fly planes into towers or behead people or throw people off of buildings, maybe you're not the most virtuous person out there.
I supported Trump because he made all of the...
But for decades, though, we were... This country's right wing was saying that about everyone who was Muslim. Holy shit, dude. Don't stop. Bro, you also weren't even born before you weren't even I don't believe that you were born pre 9/11. Shut the fuck up. Like you don't know.
He made the economy good. And so the economy then impacted black people, white people, Latino people, it impacted everybody. But Trump, he didn't think specifically, I don't think, about black people. He thought about himself, and he thought about how can I make America great for me, and making and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go with this guy, and the reason I'm gonna go with this guy is because if he can make America great and he can make that it rise for everybody, I'm gonna benefit from that. So that's why I went, and that's why I voted for him. That's why
that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Oh my God, that means whatever you say after this is wrong.
I don't... What? Okay, so let me get one thing straight. If I spend all of my money on myself and what benefits and enriches me, I guess that would be enough reason for you to give me your money, right? Because if I can make myself thrive and enriched, then I can make you rich and thrive by you giving me all your money. Huh?
I'm gonna go with this guy, and the reason I'm gonna go with this guy is because if he can make America great and he can make that it rise for everybody, I'm gonna benefit from that. So that's why I went, and that's why I voted for him. That's why I supported him.
How does that specifically benefit black people? Again, he's a businessman, but he's also a racist businessman, like well documented. So like I just.
And Biden's not. Biden's not.
Yes, he is. He created.
I really like this conservative line of like, oh, you think Trump is racist, so you probably think Biden was like never racist. Never said that. Oh, you're gonna go after Ivanka and what's his name, Jared Kushner for profiting billions, millions. I think it's actually just millions, but like high amounts of millions of dollars. While being members of the Trump administration, I bet you think that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden never did anything wrong. No, I think they all are corrupt. But there is one person that's more corrupt and documentedly so, like, proven to be more corrupt. And it's not Biden. Sorry. Suck on my Hunter Biden. Do a line off my Hunter Biden.
And Biden's not? Biden's not?
Yes, he is. He created the crime bill. So that's regardless of the
Well,
point.
address the Central Park 5. That's what you brought up, right? How do you feel about that?
Well,
he took that full
actually,
page out after they were
so I haven't
He wanted them
dealt-
to be killed,
well,
executed, just because they were black.
That story.
And he bars people from attending his businesses or like renting apartments from all his like stupid Trump towers. I
think Trump at that point was, like many people in this room, particularly liberals, a victim of the media. I think he was scared.
All right, and this is where the Jews come in. The media. It's the media. It's the fact that people are being manipulated into. See, this is where the conspiracy brain bullshit ends up coming in. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that the media doesn't manipulate. It does. But when you make that the central part of your argument, after some point of having your argument poked holes into, you're an intellectual coward. And intellectually slothful at that. And I have no respect for you.
I think he was scared. I think he was ashamed of the things that he heard in the news and wanted to take action himself as a businessman, not as a racist.
Why are you infantilizing him?
I don't like, also real quick, because people keep bringing up this comparison to the '93 crime bill from Biden. That crime bill, this was at the height of like violent crime and the crack epidemic in the United States. The Congressional Black Caucus supported that crime bill. Everybody in the United States supported that crime bill. The idea that that crime bill was like some racist piece of legislation that Biden was just wheeling out because he hates black people, and that's somehow comparable to the Donald Trump's treatment of the Central Park 5 that were already exonerated, that wasn't a victim of the media. The media said they were done. They were exonerated in court. They weren't there.
As I understand it, the prosecutor of the 5, he was a black guy. And so in being a black guy, he went and he looked at all the evidence and said, these guys are guilty.
Black people can also be racist against other black people.
Or just make mistakes.
Thank you. Wow. Conservatism is a mind virus. There is scientific proof that conservatives tend to have larger amygdalas in their brains. Amygdalas being responsible for threat detection and your fear response, fight, flight, or freeze, all that shit, you know. If not a major, like, part of the brain. Quite literally a mental disorder. Scientifically proven, it's a fact. Vaccine? Yeah, so it's just reason why I say that is because like really like the fact is that you can, if you're honest with yourself, conservatism as an ideology is so one-track minded. It goes with what I said earlier about like you're making yourself a fucking monolith because they are incapable of fucking nuance. Fifis over facts. Vibes over evidence. Their own self-delusions, preferential biases, cognitive dissonance, and egoic fail-safe mechanisms over truth. It's not my fault. Blame God.
Black people can also be racist against other black people.
Or just make mistakes.
Yeah.
So if anybody does anything you disagree with in regards to the Central Park 5, even if they themselves are a black person, they're just a self-loathing black person, they're just a racist black person.
If they disagree with me, they're racist.
That prosecutor was doing his job.
That's.
This is true. This is true. Alec be like,
I did everything right and they indicted me.
If they disagree with me, they're racist. That
prosecutor was doing his job.
That's my policy. If they disagree with me, they're racist.
I didn't vote for him or Hillary because I just don't see him as a conservative hero. I don't even think he's a conservative.
Fake conservative. I voted Trump in 2016, just so you all know. So. I'm just saying.
So I need to expound. I need you to elaborate on if people disagree with you, they're racist, just in general.
I was just kidding.
He's just, yeah.
You never know.
Just like
One
the
of those
hat.
kind of
It's,
moments.
sorry if I triggered you. I'm sorry.
You made
No,
a
I'm not
point.
sure. I just
You made a
need to know.
point a couple minutes back where you said,
okay, Alec, you're just being a fucking dick at this point, okay? He's an asshole that you can't help but to just love, man.
he just kind of says these things to rile up his base. Why does he need to do that at the expense of black people then?
He doesn't do that at the. I am a member of his base, and I'm sitting there like, oh man, this is amazing. And I don't know. You can call me self-loathing, you can call me self-hating,
so you're
you can call
saying
me
calling
racist.
for the
I'd call you
public
stupid.
execution of 5 black men that were exonerated to
When
rile
has he
up
done
his
that
base?
during the campaign trail? He didn't do that when he was a politician.
Well,
he did that when
again,
he was a
it's
scared businessman
everything.
in New York.
It's
What
everything
does
Steve
that
said about
make?
the comments about Muslims, the comments about Mexican immigrants. Why does he
never
need-
about Mexican immigrants, never about Muslims, about terrorists and about criminals and rapists. These are very important delineations.
That is so not fucking true, man. If that were the case, then liberals even would make the distinction of what he just said. They would be like, no, Trump means like, you know, the MS-13 gangs and the drug and child traffickers and stuff like that, you know, like that's what Trump means, but that's not what he said. He might have said that as like a post-hoc justification, but this motherfucker straight up was like, no, Mexicans that are coming into this country is an invasion, which is a term of fucking war. And now you have people on their campaign trails right now talking about launching a fucking war, declaring a war basically on Mexico, and saying we're gonna bomb these Mexican cartels. But when they say anything involving a war or sending troops, it's in Mexico or at the border of Mexico. They don't say when we catch them trying to cross the border and they're sneaking drugs, or they have a semi-truck full of like 15-year-old girls and shit, you know, and tied up. They don't say, okay, so there's gonna be like fucking army guys there to pop their fucking skulls through. They don't say that. They just say Mexico. But these people fall for their fucking language all the fucking time because they aren't critically thinking at all.
Terrorists and about criminals and rapists. These are very important delineations to make, and if you believe that
think
what
you
fed the media
understand,
about,
or
oh, it's all
I think
Mexican immigrants, I think it's more of you being, oh man, oh, these poor Mexicans, they need to be supported. It's more of that savior complex. Wow,
What was
we're
the
back
rationale
again.
behind
That is such a fucking deflection, dude. That is such a deflection, dude. That...
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us.
Mind you the language he's using here, by the way.
When Mexico sends its people,
When Mexico sends its people, when Mexico as a country is sending Mexico's people, what kind of people is Mexico sending to the U.S.?
they're not sending their best.
They're not sending
They're
their
not
best.
sending you. They're not sending you.
I don't know, the God thing?
They're
I don't know.
sending people that have lots of problems.
Sending people who have
and
lots
they're
of
bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. And some, I assume, are good people.
He's alleging that Mexico, the nation, the government of Mexico, they are sending, which is an act that is deliberate, an act that is on purpose. So Mexico itself, or the Mexican government, is purposely giving to us, the United States, rapists and drugs. That is war talk. That's war talk. This is language that is purposely incendiary in order to stir up conflict. And if you can't see that, there's no hope. But yeah, go ahead and justify it.
These are very important delineations to make, and if you believe
I
that
think
when
you
you offend the media
understand,
about,
or
oh, it's all
I think
Mexican immigrants, I think it's more of you being, oh man, these poor Mexicans, they need to be supported. It's more of that savior complex. Wow,
What was
we're
the
back
rationale
again.
behind axing or trying to axe DACA? These people were registered with the federal government, they were in school, they were doing everything that they needed to do. They had no home elsewhere. They were brought into this country as minors. Like, what's the explanation for that?
I think that requires more nuance. Like I mentioned before, I think there were some people. I think there were some people feeding him bad policy advice, thinking, "Oh, this will be really good for your base," and he's doing a lot as a president.
That's okay. That's okay if we feel that way.
So,
But
if I take responsibility for something, if I say he has responsibility for something, well then you're right. But if I'm saying, well, maybe there's some people around him advising him falsely,
Dude,
it's infantilizing.
He was the president.
There's no good way.
He
to
called the shots. What are you talking about?
The only path forward to solving illegal immigration starts with amnesty for everybody here. The reality is there's some 10 to 15 million illegal immigrants here. We're not deporting them all.
With the people who are already here, that's
Yeah.
a lot more of a messy, nuanced conversation. But as far as people coming in, I do think we need stronger borders and actual vetting happening.
And I just want to say,
You don't think that they're doing that? Okay, so this is from fucking factcheck.org, and it's going after a Biden ad. Republican ad misleadingly. Oh, okay, that's interesting. 13,021 pounds of the drug fentanyl in Biden's first full 15 months in office, which is 70% more than the 7,677 pounds seized under Donald Trump, his last 15 months as president. So, like, just that by itself, what the fuck do you think we're doing at the border? We have a strong border. It's just not as fucking strict or authoritarian as conservatives want it to be. I mean, fuck, dude. Like, look at this fucking graph down here, man. We have October of 2018 to April of last year. Look at how much this goes up. I mean, it went up under Donald Trump. This is true. But the most we have ever seen within the past 5 fucking years is right here during the Biden administration. Suck my dick from the back? Maybe suck it hard, suck it gently, and then suck it hard. Show it some love.
I do think we need stronger borders and actual vetting happening.
and I just want to say, in Ronald Reagan's day, he was given the promise. He said, look, if you go ahead and you pass this particular bill, we'll give these people amnesty and we're done. And it didn't happen. We didn't. Illegal immigration continued even after Reagan already said we will give these people amnesty. So that's why we get a burr up our butt, because he had already done it.
Hopefully the devil's giving him amnesty.
True.
That's terrible.
I like this fucking Jacob guy.
Hopefully the devil's giving him amnesty.
True.
That's terrible.
No, that's base. Thank you.
Tasteless.
Hopefully the devil's giving him amnesty.
True.
That's terrible.
No, that's base. Thank you.
Tasteless.
Tasteless.
Ninth
Dude,
circle, baby.
You would say the same fucking thing about Hillary Clinton, dude. Suck my fucking dick from the back, bro.
No, that's base. Thank you.
Tasteless.
Tasteless.
Ninth circle, baby.
My political beliefs have changed from the past.
Oh yeah. Everyone.
I grew up in a conservative household, actually, in Ohio. And my parents were always pretty political, so I always stayed political. I was very religious as a teenager. Sometime during college and then afterwards, especially during COVID, my sister actually indoctrinated me into a more leftist position. And I overcorrected a little bit. I started becoming pretty cringy as far as sit down and let the minorities all talk, right? Don't say anything, don't speak over them, etc. They would, it was like the whole you can't speak over Candace Owens even if she's literally a Nazi kind of thing. So I stand by that. So yeah, I kind of leveled out, thankfully, and I'm less cringe now.
Did you? Are you?
I cringed.
This is level down. Imagine if we would have been here a year ago.
I mean, maybe I am being cringe. Who cares?
So I grew up conservative, but I did have more left-leaning ideas.
We don't think you're cringe, so we're the smart ones. That's where it counts.
And I started organizing rallies against the mandates because I thought that they were just totally unconstitutional and un-American. And then George Floyd dies, and initially I was enraged like everybody else. And then it started to become this weird political like agenda masquerading or behind his face. Like it just, the face of what was actually happening started to peel off, and I was like, oh, I mean, I would counter protest BLM activists at my town square when I lived in Texas, and they were some of the most just bitter, vile, horrible people you could ever meet. Meanwhile, like the Confederate group that would protest there against them also, they were like the nicest people ever to me, ironically.
Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. Probably because they at first glance thought you were not black, number one. Number two, if you told them that you were black, they probably were like, oh, perfect time to tokenize someone for our own white supremacist ends. Because it's a literal Confederate fucking group. They fought for the Confederacy. States' rights! States' rights! States' rights to what?
They were like the nicest people ever to me, ironically.
I grew up in a Democratic, not a Democratic household, but kind of apolitical, but everybody was Democrat. And then I got a job. And when I got a job and I saw all the taxes come out and I started looking to the left and to the right and going, oh, my money's whittling away over here. And I said, you know what? After Reagan, I'm just going to go ahead and declare myself a Republican. And I've been a Republican ever since.
My mom is pretty liberal. She married my stepdad when I was like 15, 16 in high school, and he's super conservative, like loved Trump, diehard Trump fan. And
I don't have respect for your mom. Your mom is part of the fucking problem.
hearing the two sides, like people who are on such polar opposites, just like argue all the time about stuff, seeing that there's a lot of similarities in both sides, like the far radical left and the far radical right, they have a...
I'm sorry, this is not a fucking liberal. This lady is not a fucking liberal. She's a fucking centrist. This is centrist shit. Maybe she's center left, but she's a centrist. Oh my god, dude. Anytime someone unironically and in all seriousness does the both sides thing, there's times where it works. But like 99% of the time, depending on the context behind the both sidesism, it's pretty much a safe bet to just be like, you're stupid.
I started off actually kind of similar to you. I went to a Jesuit high school. I grew up very conservative. My mom is Cuban, so ride or die Bush supporter, who is now a ride or die Trump supporter. I think the point of my life when I was the most like libertarian was probably the lowest point of my life financially. And I think it's because something that
what was up with the eagle?
Libertarian was probably the lowest point of my life.
Is that even necessary?
I think the point of my life when I was the most like libertarian was probably the lowest point of my life financially. And I think it's because something that conservatives do really well is they make you feel like you can always like succeed as long as you work hard enough. And that's something that progressives and liberals suck at. That you're a victim of systemic racism, you're black so you're going to be discriminated against, you're a woman so nobody's going to care about your feelings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas Republicans will tell you, listen, if you work hard, you can do whatever you want, like just as long as you're willing to put in the work. And I felt that way up to the moment where I was losing my house, where I had an ex-girlfriend that was pregnant, where I had been fired from my previous job. There was a whole bunch of horrible stuff going on in my life, and I very, very luckily got into online content creation. And from there, as I started to make more money, I started to pay more taxes. When I get older and I look at taxes that come out of my paycheck, I care a little bit, but it was just so funny to me that back when I was making $15,000, $20,000 a year, I'm like, I gotta vote for the lower tax bracket, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm barely paying any taxes anyways. And now that I'm older, like if the government wants to take, a few, 10, 20, whatever, how many more $1,000 out.
You just said you worked hard.
I did, but I got very, very, very lucky doing so. Very lucky.
Do you think it's just luck?
It's not just luck.
Okay, so I'm gonna be an asshole to boomers, like usual, but whatever. Okay, so she said she's been a Republican ever since the days of Reagan. I don't know how old this lady is, but she's older. I'm gonna guess that she has no fucking idea the complexities, even the simple layer of complexities, if you will, if that makes sense to other fellow content creators, of like the nuances of content creation. There's a lot more to it than just putting up videos on YouTube. There's so much to it. There's me recording this right now. There's me that's gonna have to edit this, which takes up at least double the time of the length of the fucking original recorded content. The making of the thumbnail, what are you going to title it, what's going to be in the description, what are the tags, is this going to be accessible to children or not, is this going to be age restricted, did you make it poppier, did you put memes into it, do you have the software for that, which will make the editing process last even longer. Dude, content creation is so much more than just putting a fucking video up on YouTube. There's so much more to it than that. Yes, when it comes down to how saturated this space can be, online content creation as an entire thing, yes, it's luck. It is hard work. Yeah. So much more to it is luck. I've been doing this shit for over 3 years now. The videos where I get the most views are videos that piss the most chuds off. Imagine that. The most viewed videos I have are from hate watching. So, luck. Or just me being smarter than you.
I did, but I got very, very, very lucky doing so. Very lucky.
Do you think it's just luck?
It's not just luck, but the difference is that born into a wealthier family, you can make so many more mistakes in life. And when you're born poor, you get like 1 or 2 before your life is over. And that's really sad to me.
Yeah, so I used to...
Goddamn, wow. I can't believe I'm watching this, like, agreeing with Destiny on most of it. Wow. Most of the shit he said in this video is not disagreeable. He's pretty right on the money.
And when you're born poor, you get like 1 or 2 before your life is over, and that's really sad to me.
Yeah, so I used to be a liberal. I voted for Bernie Sanders in 2016, as much as I regret that now. My family was pretty left-wing. Some of the people in my family were like radically left, like would refer to white people as blue-eyed, red-headed devils, things of that nature. And as I got older, I actually started...
That's not left. That's not left. All right, I can definitely not take this guy seriously on his political beliefs or ideology whatsoever at this point.
Like, would refer to white people as blue-eyed, red-headed devils, things.
Blue-eyed, wow. Saying shit like that about white people is not left. You could even accuse me of no true Scotsman or whatever the fuck, you know? Fine, whatever. See, this is the thing. People who don't understand that, for instance, Stalin was not a communist. He was a fascist. Or people who think that China is communist when they are so obviously hyper-capitalistic. And you can see this by just a simple looking at the country and realizing the workers have not seized the means of production from the bourgeois, and they have a fucking currency, they have money, and they engage in quite cohesive financial and economic relations with the rest of the world that is capitalist. Thus, they are not communist. They are not classless, moneyless, or stateless. They are China, which has a currency, and they have an upper, middle, and lower class. They're capitalist. Shut up. The same thing goes with Russia, but like Putin is a fascist, which like goes with the capitalist territory, seeing how the Nazis, who were fascists, coined the term privatization, which is a capitalist term.
When I was young, I used to jump for joy and say, oh yeah, Obama, black president, that's so amazing. He's the same color as me. But when I started to do more research, one of the biggest things I was confused about is, well, why is he a Democrat? What is a Democrat? I did more research about the Democrat Party. And sure, you guys are gonna pop off about the head saying, oh, there's a party switch in the Southern strategy and all these things.
Which is true.
Which you may say is true. I don't believe it is true at all. I understand, you know, you may...
Mind the words, I don't believe it's true at all, even though it's literally true. Nice pause face, by the way. Yeah, no, this is literally true. And the fact that you can't just, like, bring yourself to a state of, like, okay, I only have the information I can go on. And this is really the way that I approach politics as much as possible. I'm not perfect at it. I'm not gonna at all claim that. But the fact is that I can only go off of the information I have. I cannot form conclusions off of information that is either inconclusive or doesn't have hard, real, like verified fucking data. There's verified fucking data that, yes, the Bavarian Illuminati did exist. Is there data that they rule the world? No. That's inconclusive. And the people who believe that they do base those conclusions that they've made, they base those beliefs, which is just another way to say opinion, off of inferences and assumptions and patterns that may be to one degree valid and to another degree completely just crackpot bonkers and just disjointed and doesn't make any fucking sense. However, like there are certain things that I can base my conclusions off of that like have like mountains of textbooks and research documents and statistics and data and what have you that I can look at and be like, okay, out of the information that is available to me, this is what I would conclude with. Now, if for some reason there was some new information that came in that made 2 + 2 not equaling 4, and that new information tended to like bend that equation towards truth more than 2 + 2 = 4, then I'm going to take that new information, I'm going to test it, I'm going to research further into it, and if it turns out to be true, okay, 2 + 2 turns out doesn't equal 4. This new bit of information augments this previous information and makes it into something completely different and completely new. Turns out information tends to be amended over time when we find new information. That's kind of how science works. Now, that might not be the best analogy, but the fact is that the current information I have to go with, the current information I have to contemplate with, that is available to me is 2 and 2. 4. I only go with the current information that I have available to me. And the current information that is available to me tends to have a left-leaning bias. Because, as it turns out, reality has a left-leaning bias. And there are some people who don't believe that's true, or believe that if it is true, it's the juice. So I don't really care what you believe is true or not. What does the information that we have available to us say and conclude? And my question now is, why don't you believe it to be true?
You guys are going to pop off about the head saying, oh, there's a party switch in the Southern strategy and all these things.
Which is true.
Which you may say is true. I don't believe it is true at all.
You're
I
wrong.
understand, you may think I'm wrong.
You are.
However, one of the biggest questions I had was, why is Obama in the same party as the people that started the KKK, the same people that voted against the Civil Rights Act, the same people that are on the news talking about how black people...
The KKK and the Democrats of those days were conservative, they weren't liberal. Can we stop with this? This is a dumb fucking talking point. It's been debunked so many fucking times. It's useless.
I was raised conservative, actually. And then high school became, I guess, sort of apolitical. And then throughout college, and I guess just throughout my life since then, I think I guess you can call me a progressive, you can call me, socialist, whatever you, but I guess that's, in the area of where I fall. You said that you were a Bernie fan in 2016, and then you transitioned to being, I guess, more conservative. I guess, I don't know, to me, Bernie Sanders, from what he said to what you think now, what was the shift?
For me, it was socialism, because back then I was a very broke college kid, and I just had this mentality that everything should be free, and I was feeling a bit entitled, like everything should be handed to me because I was black, because I was very much in that mentality. As I learned more about free markets, as I learned more about capitalism, I started to appreciate that much more.
Hopeless. You're hopeless. I'm sorry. Yeah, you know what? I do have a bit of a entitlement issue. I feel entitled to food, water, shelter, warmth. I feel entitled to the barest of necessities for human survival. And that anything that interferes with that is, by definition, anti-human and anti-life. And thus, anything that's anti-human and anti-life and interferes with the barest means for human survival is, by definition, evil. And so if you support continuing things that interfere with what is necessary for humans to live, period, well,
I'm gonna drop a hot take that people aren't gonna like.
You're evil.
Reparations are necessary.
Thank you. Two
When
of
we
most
talk about
based.
reparations, I think that doing reparations in the way that a lot of people think of it, where we just give it to black people, I'm not an expert on this, but I think it would be more income-based, and that in itself, like I said earlier, would disproportionately benefit black people, because if you recognize that they are disproportionately affected by a systemic injustice, then doing it on like a class level would uplift proportionally more black people than white people or any other race.
Yeah, I think like mostly like black GIs that were left out of like the New Deal, for instance, that to be able to come back and as a white American, as a white veteran, to get a home loan and then build that generational wealth, you could not get that as a black American. So there needs to be, I think, reparations. I don't care really what form it comes from. I think free healthcare, free college, so that everyone has like an equal opportunity to educate themselves, to build a better lives for themselves. So it's sort of like, and I think Germany is also a perfect model to follow. You know, by issuing, first of all, a formal apology, which we haven't even done that. But also just like donating to like different funds, and you know, just I think a more equitable society striving for that is reparations in and of itself.
Before anyone says anything else, the fact is that when it comes down to getting, we can't talk about equality until we have equity. If we put the cart before the horse like that, you end up with, these are going to be my props. What we want is this, okay? But obviously they're two different heights. When you talk about equality before equity, you have this. But when you have equity before equality, you have this. Obviously, without the jump up here, you're not going to have the same height. This is equality before equity. This is what conservatives want. This is what people who are pro reparations, the left, this is what we want. This is real equality of opportunity. There's no fucking way for this right here to get to the same top as the monster can without sliding it up like that. As dumb as that example is, that is basically how reparations should work. On a class basis, sure, which tends to affect more non-white people than white people.
I have no problems with reparations if they had happened initially during the like slavery or the civil rights movement or any of that. But to try and do that now logistically just doesn't really make any sense. And like, where would this money come from? Like, we're in so much debt as a nation. Would I get this money? I'm biracial or triracial. Like, do mixed people get it? And like, do Irish people get reparations when they...
Alec already answered this question.
I think for reparations, if you can find specific instances of somebody being like actually deprived of something, whether specific instances of like the 40 acres and a meal promise, or whether you can find specific cases of like Chinese people building railroads or Irish people, whatever, people being deprived of things, that's okay. But otherwise, yeah, it's a logistical nightmare. There's no possible way that we'd be able to do it well.
Yeah, America's unique because we have bent over backwards for decades now, putting minorities in a position of privilege. I feel like we have done so much to give back to the communities that were obviously wronged. And I agree with both of you. Like, had this happened a long time ago, I would understand it. If we had specific incidences that we could trace where people were just completely screwed over, I would respect it. But right now, I don't deserve a payment for something my great-great-great-great-grandparents went through. And I don't think that white people are responsible for paying that to me either.
I know.
Which is why it should be class-based. There are black conservatives who feel this way, and so my answer to that is fine. You don't get money, like for real. Like if you don't want reparations, fine. All right, you don't get reparations then. Don't whine about it if you don't get it, because you're literally right here saying, why are we doing it now? There's no point in doing it now because my great-great-great-grandfather, which by the way, not your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, maybe it is, but I have heard from other black content creators, like their grandfathers or grandmothers or their great-grandmas or grandpas, like people they fucking knew. If not like for a long time, at least like I remember when I was 5 years old sitting on my great-grandpa's lap and him being like, you know, now you make, you know, the best of what you got right now, because when I was your age, I was doing this, that, or the other, and something about slavery. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, it is, like, it's not that far back. And I think, like, this is going to seem completely disconnected, but, like, I think that's why we need to colorize those photographs of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. We need to stop printing them as just black and white. We need to refurbish them and colorize them to look more present. There's a study where, like, when you have colored photos of them from those days and you have the black and white photos, like, they have different effects on how you sympathize with the causes that they were fighting for, or like your perception of how far back it was, where a black and white photo would be like, God, that feels so long ago, right? Because we're so used to color and high resolution, you know, with all this great technology. But if you see a colored photo of the same time, it's more so like, it's not so much like, God, that was so long ago, and more so like, damn, that really wasn't that long ago, was it? Like there's literal studies on this effect. Martin Luther King, by the way, who fought for your right to be a black conservative, who existed and fought like literally less than 60 fucking years ago, said that we need reparations and fought for economic democracy, fought for democratic socialism. Same guy. Same guy. Same guy. I mean, if you disagree with MLK on reparations and socialism and economic democracy, well, what else do you disagree with him on?
I know we don't want to use the word virtue signaling, but it's sort of like a bribe for a vote in a way, at least in my opinion. In states like California, where they've been throwing around the idea of, oh, we want to pay out this much money to every black citizen in there, in this state, it's like, oh, are you serious? Because this is kind of like a joke, in my opinion.
I think that if we impose reparations now, I think it would rip America apart. I think that we're already separated enough as it is, and now you're going to have people walking around going, you owe me money, you owe me money, I'm not paying you any money. It would just really rip us apart.
Then that's an ego problem. That's not an economic problem. That's an ego problem. And it sounds like you're going to bat for white people's fragile fucking egos, Renee. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? That's their fucking problem. If you worked at a job for 40 years straight and never got paid for it, and you don't have retirement, I don't know why you'd be working there still for 40 years, but like, let's just say that happened. I think you'd be a little bit pissed. You should get paid what you're fucking owed. Oh, but I didn't work those 40 years straight. That's not my retirement. That was my great, whatever the fuck. But like, dude, how the fuck does that not stream down to you today? And again, I'm
gonna drop a hot take that people aren't gonna like.
If you don't want reparations, you don't get it. Fine. If that's the way you feel about it, you don't get it. Don't bitch if you don't get it then. And again, class-based reparations, bam, solves that problem real fucking quick as far as the race question or the how do you track it back, whatever the fuck. Okay, class, boom, right there, solves it real fucking quick. And you don't pay reparations back instantly. Not in one lump sum, not to everyone, not immediately. You get the poorest first, and then you get the second poorest, and then you get the third poorest. You go from the bottom of the people in poverty and the poorest of the poor, and you work it back up as you go on. And you know, you just do that for 400 years. Take it from the fucking military budget. Take it from the rich. They owe it more so than anyone else.
Giving somebody money doesn't mean anything if they don't know what to do with the money or how to handle the money.
That is true, which is why we need more resource centers and more fucking black businesses, fucking job and family services. We need free college.
So if the primary issue in black culture or with black people is generational trauma, then maybe they need more therapy than they need money, honestly.
Free fucking Medicare then! Medicare for all, motherfucker! Like, what? Then let's do that! Yes! 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 But Xavier over here wouldn't support that, because that's the Bernie Sanders socialism thing, or whatever the fuck.
Which conservatives are also against.
Well, that's kind of my argument. Like, if there is like that, like generational trauma or whatever, like I think examples of like free healthcare, they could see a therapist and not be, you know, fall into debt. And I think the argument of like the logistical nightmares of it, I think if we want to pay for something in this country, we usually find a way to do it, especially when it comes to the military. So, I mean, we pay for multi-billion-dollar jets all the time.
It's not the dollars, it's who's supposed to get them.
Not to attack progressives, but that is like the most progressive idea in the world. Is like, I can see the headlines like reparations voted on in Congress to be paid in the form of free therapy for people in the hood. That just sounds like the funniest thing in the world. But
well, I also don't think it's gonna come directly from like, you know, white person to black person. Like, oh, your lineage affected his lineage.
It is though. Like in San Francisco, they were going to raise the average family, or the average household in San Francisco was expected to pay $600,000 each with the $5 million per black person proposal that they had. And I used to live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I was repulsed by that because you have so many homeless veterans on the streets, and they were going to give black people a home for as little as $1 just for being black. Mind you, slavery wasn't
40 acres and a mule. They never got that. First of all. Second of all, 582,462 people were experiencing homelessness in the United States and its territories. That number represented an increase of nearly 2,000 individuals over the last complete accounting of 2020, yet remained steady at 0.18% of the nation's population. And like a good number of those people are fucking veterans, by the way. So don't say support our troops. Fuck you. Suck my dick after I put it in cow shit, okay? Fuck you. How many vacant houses do we have in the United States? 16 million. 16 million homes currently sit vacant across the United States. In every state across the country, many homes remain empty while hundreds of thousands of Americans face homelessness. Wow, it made that connection. It's almost like as if that the idea of giving free homes, even if temporary, free homes to homeless people isn't a fucking insane idea. So do that. Yeah, sorry. Funny enough, that's actually pretty fucking based.
Slavery wasn't even in California. So why that was going to be the case?
That doesn't matter. Sure, slavery was never in California, but black people, as far as their lineage is concerned, were all slaves. That's like saying there are probably bunny rabbits, by the way, in California. But let's just say there were never bunny rabbits and then suddenly there were bunny rabbits in California. That's like saying we should never serve rabbit stew in California because we've never had rabbits in California. But there's rabbits there now. Like what? Bad analogy, sure, I know. But the point still stands.
Okay, but you don't really care about homeless veterans, right? Like
that's just
you
a
don't support.
idea.
You don't know
I
me.
feel like all your arguments are ad hominem.
But you're
literally
here as a
every
conservative.
single one ad
You're here as a
hominem.
conservative. So what policies do you support for homeless veterans?
There's ways to address, I mean,
specifically.
First of all, ad homs are a great way to get conservatives' attentions because they're fucking fragile babies. He's a leftist content creator. We love making conservatives cry. We love making conservatives piss and shit and cum so much for making fun of them being those snowflakes over everything, like pronouns, for instance.
Fucking pronouns! Fucking gender ambiguity! Fucking current day Californian shit! Because that's all we fucking know! Because we're boring! We're so fucking boring!
We love making fun of reactionaries because they are the biggest piss babies on the fucking planet, let alone the internet. Who are all terminally online, by the way.
So what policies do you support for homeless veterans?
There's ways to address, I mean,
specifically
for homeless in general.
That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say that we didn't find a middle ground in there.
Yeah.
All right.
But that's a great ending note.
White liberals have a savior complex.
Wow. Everyone agreed.
Well,
Well,
I gotta say, this is...
Whoa. She doesn't.
I never expected all four of you to just come forward and admit it, but you know what? I'm happy with these results.
I just think it's a lot of people, I guess, people, you know, of the left, whatever, can kind of fall into that trap of thinking that, you know, black people as a monolith need to be saved as a whole.
I have no shame about it. I have a savior complex as an older brother, and I will save you whether you like it or not. So that's just me.
Well, it's definitely not, because a lot of us are really just exhausted of being viewed as our skin color. Because when you have this mindset that you need to save black people, and
I will say that was a bad line. I know what he's saying. I know what he means by that. And what Alec means by that is like, it's like the Medicare for All line, right? I don't care if you don't like Medicare for All because you think you've been propagandized to hate socialism as like a fucking you know, rubber mallet in the doctor's office on your knee-jerk reaction that the Republican Party, the theo-fascist, but we're going to disguise ourselves as center-right and moderate party, put upon you, made you believe, indoctrinated, groomed you, as a matter of fact. I don't care if you don't like Medicare for All. I'm going to get you that free healthcare, and you're going to like having your life saved without going into fucking tons of completely unaffordable medical debt. You're gonna like being able to acquire that equality of opportunity for a college education because you're gonna like free college whether you like it or not. Like, that's what he means. I'm gonna do something good for you whether you think it's good for you or not. Which is funny that they view that as like a white savior complex or whatever, when like literally if any of these people have children, they would say the same thing about their kids. Like that's so insane to me that like wanting good things for society, whether society agrees with you or not, agrees with that being a good thing for society or not, is the same exact attitude and same exact principle that good parents would have towards their children. You can call that a white savior complex if you want, but then you would have to admit that that as a principle would make you a paternalistic savior complex. Stop loving your children now. Sorry that we just want to improve society, whether people think it's improving society or not. And also, by the way, again, sorry that reality has a left-leaning bias. Sorry that we tend to be empirically, objectively correct about literally 99% of everything. Sorry that you think that we think that black people are a monolith, even though you present yourself as black conservatives as a fucking monolith. You guys literally think and say the same shit all the fucking time. I hear no divergence among black conservatives. It is what it is. You appear monolithic because you specifically talk monolithically. You're rhetorically monolithic. That's not our faults for pointing that out to you. That's not my fault. That doesn't make me racist either for pointing that out. And sorry that you think it's Jews.
I think especially recently with a lot of riot stuff that's gone on or protest stuff that's gone on, people on the left tend to infantilize a lot of different types of protesters, and especially even talking to, you know, some of the other black content creators I do content with, when you hear a lot of progressives come out and say, well, they don't have a choice but to riot or break into this store, or, well, they're stealing, you know, these electronics or shoes for good reasons, you just don't realize it. I think a lot of people kind of look both ways, and it's a little bit weird that there's such a complex on the left to excuse like every single possible negative behavior from somebody, as long as they're a skin color that you're kind of in charge of protecting.
I find that very offensive.
Yeah.
I find it extremely, it upsets me to hear that, because we're just like you. We just have a different skin color, and to hear that you have to help me is offensive to me. I can do it on my own.
Well, we have to break down sometimes why these riots happen. You know, MLK once said that riots are the voice of the unheard. So if you are to address the problem and stop the riots, you have to address the underlying inequality that has historically been pervasive. You know, even if you as individual people are doing fine and you don't want anybody else to get in the way of that, that's cool, and I'm not going to be the one to get in the way. But the disparities are undeniable.
So if you take pride in having like a...
What is crazy about that? That was probably the most level-headed response that Alec has had this entire time he's been on Jubilee. This entire video, that was the most logical, mechanically minded, just objective, factual fucking thing he said. Why do people were ragging on him so much in these comments? It blows my fucking... For what? For being a little bit of a meme lord. For being a little bit of a meme boy. For having a hunter... I don't get it. Sure, fine. Say that I'm biased because I'm Alec's friend. Okay? Fine. Whatever. Okay? Fine. I'm trying to actually be objective here. Okay? There are some moments here where he's a little bit cringe. Fine. But like, all in all, like, I don't see what is so attackable. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I can't help being just factually, objectively, empirically, absolutely correct when I say that Alec's appearance here on Jubilee isn't that bad.
I am trying to make the world a better place through whatever means I can, and
But you're doing it on the backs of us.
I wouldn't say so.
Yeah, I actually do. I feel like you want to be a savior for, and you're using me to make yourself feel good. That's what I'm
How
hearing.
am I hurting you?
You're not letting me have my own voice. You're not letting me speak.
How? You're speaking now?
No,
You're cutting her off.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I have to.
Yeah. Well, what's happening? I mean, you're speaking right now. You're speaking right now in this particular setting.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're saying is, like, you took it back to riots and so forth, and it makes it seem like the only way that we as Black people can have a voice is by riots, and then you need to come along and you need to say, okay, poor little Black child, let me help you. That's offensive to me, and I feel.
First of all, again, with the emotional manipulation in this, like the smugness, so unnecessary. So, okay, there's a specific moment that I want to address.
You're not letting me have my own voice. You're not letting me speak.
How? You're speaking now?
No.
You're cutting her off.
Yeah.
But he's... Okay. How? But you're cutting her off to ask her, how am I preventing you from speaking? By interrupting you? Well, yeah, in this very instance. But as far as the general, like the essence of you talking in general, Alec is not stopping her from talking. Is he interrupting her in this very moment? Yes. So I guess if you really want to say that he's stopping her from talking at this very moment, yes. He's stopping her from talking because that's what interruption does. But as far as her speaking in general in this entire video, no! There were plenty of times where she talked and he let her talk. So, like, I just don't understand, like, the whole, like, you're not letting me speak kind of thing. Yes, I am. I'm not when I'm interrupting you because I'm asking you how I'm not letting you speak outside of me interrupting you at this very moment to ask you how I'm stopping you from speaking for yourself or thinking for yourself. That is the essence of making a mountain out of a molehill.
How? You're speaking now?
No.
You're cutting her off.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I have to.
Yeah. Well, what's happening?
And of course he feels like he has to because that is a lie. You're not letting me speak my truth or what. He's been doing that the whole video. And the times where he didn't, he was challenging what you were freely speaking, funny enough. He was challenging your expression of free speech. That's not stopping you from talking. That is how conversations work. especially in a debate setting.
And it makes it seem like the only way that we as black people can have a voice is by riots, and then you need to come along and you need to say, okay, poor little black child, let me help you, let me help you. That's offensive to me. And I feel like you're making...
No one does this, by the way. I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. Like, no one does that. Really, you're upsetting me. And I would say you're probably upsetting a lot of black liberals. And black leftists, because like, ooh, black child, ooh, white savior will help you out, ooh, when really the actual reality is, fuck dude, I'm really sorry that like you keep on getting killed by cops. Like that's it. That's like us having even the slightest bit of empathy for black victims of police brutality, like that, we're being all cuddly and stuff. Fuck you. Suck my dick.
That's offensive to me. And I feel like you're...
Also, if that's offensive to you, then you're the fucking snowflake. Fuck you. No. You're the snowflake. You're the fragile one. Fuck off. How about you pull yourself up by your emotional bootstraps instead of being so fucking soft?
That's offensive to me.
You get a lot of white people that live in nice suburbs saying things like shoplifting is no big deal, that's fine, and then you'll catch YouTube videos of them later on being in a Walgreens in like a shoddy neighborhood and they're like, man, why is the deodorant behind a locked case? It's very easy to sit behind a gated community and say, oh, well, you know, it's not a big deal, you know, they steal because they have to. Riots are the language of the unheard. I think people haven't read the full context of that quote. When MLK was saying riots are the language of the unheard and you need to address the underlying condition, he wasn't condoning the rioting, he was just understanding it.
Obviously there
Alec wasn't Destiny. That's not charitable, buddy. That's not charitable. You don't know Alec like that. One person's not knowing Alec is him not having a bias, but he still has a bias against leftists because he's spiteful as fuck against the left. Alec doesn't condone the rioting and the looting. Alec and I have talked about this. He doesn't condone the rioting and the looting. He understands where it came from, which is exactly what the fuck Destiny said about MLK's fucking quote. What the fuck? We know, dude. We know. That's my position. I don't condone the rioting or the looting. I understand why it happened. And that's also Renee not coddling the black community. I understand. TVs are easy to sell. When there's civil unrest and there's distractions, I'm gonna go steal this TV. I'm gonna go steal this PS5 or whatever the fuck. Or you need deodorant so you don't fucking stink when you go in for a job interview. I'm gonna steal the fucking deodorant because it's fucking, I need deodorant. I'm not saying it's right. I am gonna say don't steal, period. Please, if you can help it, don't fucking steal. But if you do, especially depending on not even really your race, but like your economic status, I'm probably gonna understand why you fucking stole. Don't steal. I don't like that you steal. Please don't. If you do, I'm not gonna fucking justify it stealing. Don't fucking steal. But I get why. You could do both. I'm sorry that the leftists can intellectually multitask.
Obviously, there are a bunch of white people that feel they need to be a savior, but I think there's a difference between helping and saving. Like, I don't think I will need to save black people, but I would tremendously love to help and make sure everyone has like equal outcome, or not equal outcome, but at least equal opportunity, which in my opinion, I feel we do not have in this country.
This is awkward.
It is, because I don't care. All right, so that's pretty much going to be the end of it. Dude, all the people that were ragging on Alec, I don't understand why. There were some cringy moments, not gonna lie. Alec, if you see this, you were kind of cringe at times. But it wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. Like people are making it out to be worse than it actually was. It wasn't that bad. There were a lot of times where I agreed with Destiny, more so than I thought that I would. He made some good points. There were times where he was like, okay, now you're just being contrarian because progressives. Now you're just being contrarian because the left, you know, because he's a spiteful cunt. But there were times when Destiny, I was, wow, okay, he made some good points. The Jacob dude, pretty based, white girl, I don't care. She was. I mean, she seems nice. That counts. Two of the black conservative ladies seemed more white passing than anything. You have more privilege than your darker counterparts. It's just, it is what it is. Light skin privilege is a thing. Xavier just seems delusional and doesn't believe in true things. And Chandler is, I don't know what the fuck his deal is. Honestly, like, he just kind of comes off as, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, a wannabe Candace Owens. He seems like a fanatic. He's just a dumb kid. And as far as Xavier's comment before about boot liquor, maybe like get the boot out of your mouth then. Maybe stop making boot stew. Alec, I'll give you a 7.77 out of 10. A B minus? B? No, I'll give you a B. Honestly, I have no idea how I'd react in this situation. If anything, I'd probably get a D for dick. I would probably be just such a dick. I probably would just want to trigger conservatives. You know, I just probably just would like just revel in like, how can I make them mad? Because that's just, it's funny to me. I don't know, the white savior thing there, and I don't know, you got moxie, kid. Oh fuck, Alec, when he saw all those comments hating on him, he'd be like,
I did everything right and they indicted me.
I worked in nursing homes in 2020 COVID. The last thing that was on my mind when I watched 60 and 70-year-olds on their deathbeds suffocating to death was taxes. I was worried about healthcare. I didn't give a shit about taxes in that time. So when I go to work every day, that's what I see. That's what I want to fix.
I see you once again elevating yourself above the rest of us, and particularly at me.
First of all, Alec, a little bit soapboxy, not gonna lie. But Renee, first of all, to all the black conservatives.
All of you, please, for the love of God, shut the fuck up. You're all so annoying. Shut the fuck up. I don't care. Shut the fuck up. I don't care what your fucking take is on this shitty. Who cares?
Renee, honestly, you have been probably even more so than Chandler. Honestly, the most annoying person on the opposing team. So to you specifically, please, I'm
pretty sure a newborn infant would instinctively say, despite not having any knowledge of the English language,
shut the fuck up. It's just so dumb.